So they are gonna miss the playoffs still, right? Just when I think I don't have to emotionally invest in a playoff run this spring, these guys pull me back in. Everybody's hands go up, way up. And nobody would blame you if you wanted to, as I am close to doing, buying back in and thinking the Preds might be a playoff team as they defeat the Washington Capitals by a score of 3-2 Friday night in Capital One Arena in Washington, D.C. You see, Preds Nation, this is why I don't gamble on sports. I don't gamble on matters of the heart. I thought for sure that going into this 5-game East Coast road trip with the likes of Carolina, Washington, and upcoming in Toronto, I thought for sure it would be a sub 500 trip and it would all but put the Preds out of a playoff spot. But here we are. They have won the first 2 games of the 5-game road trip. And now they have 2 full days off on a weekend to relax and enjoy this reward. Hopefully not get out of the right headspace before they go into a very winnable game in Canada's nation's capital in Ottawa on Monday night. And then they finish the road trip next Thursday against a team you just smacked around in your building, the Montreal Canadiens. And hey, maybe, just maybe, we can get greedy and think that Toronto Maple Leafs team that is struggling right now, just ask Steve Dangle, they might be beatable too, but 1 game at a time. But 2 straight wins in regulation certainly does get a fan base's hopes up. But nope, I cannot let myself fall into this trap. Just not yet. No, I know they're playing better defensively. I know they're scoring a ton of goals. I know they've won 3 of their last 4 games. And games like tonight, a man who is on a mission to catch Wayne Gretzky for the most goals scored in NHL history. They keep him completely off the score sheet. No goals, no assists. I am not going to fall into this trap that the Preds are setting for me and every member of this fan base. Just not yet. It's the second half of a back-to-back for both the Caps and the Preds in this game. Both teams winning on the road Thursday night, so both teams were forced to play their backups. Charlie Lindgren for the Capitals and Kevin Lankinen for the Preds. Both teams finding their feet early, almost 24 hours after the previous game, and it's the Preds who would strike first just about 4 minutes into the first period. There's a tie-up, there's a push along the right wing board in the Caps net, and it's Tommy Novak who has just been playing inspired since being called up from Milwaukee. He doesn't want to go back down there. He outworks Anthony Mantha along the board for the puck, is allowed to skate right in, picks his shot, goes stick side, left side, over Lindgren's stick side, and gives the Preds the early 1-0 lead. Capitals are not deterred and will give some pushback, but initially would be stopped right after the opening Tommy Novak goal to try and tie the game. Forsberg could set up Alexander Carrier with a great chance to extend the Preds lead, but he can't get the puck to settle down for him before the Caps are able to snuff out that opportunity. About 8 minutes into the game, Yakov Trenin would take a tripping penalty for the Preds, putting the offensive-minded Caps on the power play. And the Preds did well. The Capitals had some looks, but weren't able to convert. But the Preds kind of forgot that right as the Caps power play ended, about 5 seconds later, the Caps were persistent and the Preds could not get the puck out of their defensive zone. Sonny Milano for the Caps ties this game at 1. I don't mean to be a Debbie Downer, seeing as the Preds would eventually go on to win this game, but allowing that tying goal by Sonny Milano means that the Preds will not have recorded a shutout at all this season. Now, 38 games, the earliest they can record one is game 39, Monday in Ottawa, meaning that this season will officially move into 3rd place all-time in Preds season-by-season rankings of history of how long it took them to record at least one shutout into the season. the 99-2000 season will now move into 4th place. After the Preds have a failed power play conversion to try and retake the lead, they are a persistent bunch, showing no wear and tear, no exhaustion from their marathon game of trying to help UC Soros hold the fort Thursday night, as they would proceed to with about 5 minutes left to go in the first period. It all starts with Yakov Trenin skating down the left wing board, who has the presence of mind as he sees Dmitry Orlov, so he does a spin move as Dylan Strome also comes, so he gets the puck over to the corner to Juuso Parssinen, and Juuso Parssinen quickly gets the puck to a pinching Jeremy Lauzon, who takes a shot on net, and the man who started off the beautiful zone entry finishes it off with an exclamation point on the play, like a baseball player trying out for the Washington Nationals. Yakov Trenin is there to get the rebound that Lauzon's shot created and bats it out of the air into the Capitals net past Charlie Lindgren. Yakov Trenin has given the Preds a 2-1 lead. A closely contested game thus far. After 20 minutes, the Preds much more content because they have the lead, and the shot total difference between the two teams is a lot more manageable than it was in Carolina last night. Caps out shooting the Preds 14-9 after 1. About 3 minutes into the second period, the Preds, with the likes of Trenin, Juuso Parssinen, and Tanner Jeannot on the ice, cycling, creating good chances, looking to extend the Preds' lead to 2 goals, but they can't buy one, not even snake-bitten Tanner Jeannot. He is going to have to score a big goal, almost by fluke, to get him off the schneid. Preds don't relent in this game. They are showing fight. They are going toe-to-toe with the Washington Capitals, a team that has Alexander Ovechkin on it. Almost 9 minutes into the second period, Juuso Parssinen with a partial break, and not seen since the days of Marty Turco, Charlie Lindgren poke checks him and, for good measure, stacks the pads to prevent Juuso from extending the Preds' lead. In that moment, the Preds with all the pressure, but eventually when you don't extend it, it may come back to bite you in the butt, and just about 9 minutes left to go in the second period. Innocent looking play by Nicholas Aube-Kubel as he gets Niederreiter to freeze, and he gets around him quickly and is able to quickly beat Lankinen, tying this game back up at 2. Just about 7 minutes left to go in the second period, and Alexander Carrier would get called for slashing, and it would appear Alexander Ovechkin gets warmed up and gets to his favorite spot and tries to catch Wayne Gretzky for the all-time lead in NHL goal scoring, but the Preds hold firm. They don't get desperate or stress out and are able to kill that one off, keeping Ovi off the scoreboard for now. And just as that power play was about to expire for the Caps, for good measure, Mikael Granlund is still fresh, and he almost gives the Preds a shorthanded goal to take the lead. With this being a tie game, and the later it would go into the game, you're thinking to yourself, who is going to be the hero? Is it going to be someone like Ovechkin? Is it going to be someone like Phil Forsberg? Some of the highest paid players for their team. Who is going to be the one to give their team, either the Caps, their first lead of the game, or the Preds back their lead? Oh, dear God, no. Not with 3 minutes left. Who the heck let Matt Irwin into the blue line untouched? Thank God he didn't score. You don't want Matt Irwin, former Pred Matt Irwin, that Matt Irwin, to give the Caps their first lead of the game. Fortunately, this game is still tied at 2. After 2, the shot difference still a lot manageable. You would be surprised to know it was 21-17 Caps after 40 minutes. Caps with the early pressure, trying to take their first lead of the game through the first 3 minutes of the third period. But don't let me sell the Preds short, because they would weather a storm for the entire third period. I will spoil it now. The Caps outshot the Preds 11-4 in the third period of this game. Third period progresses, the score remaining even at 2 apiece. Caps with another solid possession about 7 minutes into the third period. But again, the Preds seem to have the hockey gods on their side on the second half of a back-to-back, and they escape danger there. What are getting shots on goal to try and create some offense when you can just sit back and make sure your goalie, in this case your backup goalie, has your back and is not letting anything by. The Preds taking almost 8 minutes into the third period to record one shot on goal, and it's the man who's at the center of trade rumors right now, Mattias Ekholm, with a blast that Lindgren easily stops because he's been untested. Just about halfway through the third period, the refs have been letting stuff go on both sides. Finally call a penalty, and it's on Colton Sissons for hooking Lars Eller, and the Caps' only real solid chance was a play late in the power play with Alexander Ovechkin, puck on his stick, but it's blocked by Alexander Carrier. Just under 7 minutes left to go in regulation now. The Preds looking for a spark, looking for something to get them going as they send in Johansson, Duchesne, and Yossi on an odd man rush, but they just can't beat Lindgren. Just when you think this game might go to overtime, just under 3.5 left to go in regulation now. Ryan Johansson is just inside the Caps blue line. He's got a defender on him, but he has almost cat-like reflexes because he can sense a presence, a defensive-minded man who was brought to this team to score a big goal, who hasn't scored one yet this season. And he ever so times it right over to number 27, Ryan McDonagh, who with a sprint skates right into the Capitals net. He gets Charlie Lindgren to bite, and he almost makes the save, but McDonagh fakes him out, and as he's falling, he tucks it home. The Preds have a 3-2 lead in Washington with under 3.5 left to go in regulation. Not many more dramatic ways to score your first goal of the season with your new team, are there? Caps pull Lindgren with just over a minute left to go in regulation. Capitals with solid offensive pressure, and we hit 30 seconds left to go in regulation. Seconds tick away, and the Preds are able to fight and claw with the Capitals, maintaining the puck in the neutral zone before the Caps are able to finally get the puck back into the Preds zone with about 15 seconds left to go. But they're not leaving themselves much more time to get organized and set up for anything. Even with the likes of Alexander Ovechkin in your lineup on a goal chase for history, they can't tie this game. The Preds survive a 11-4 shot total in the third period. Their goalie saves the day again on a back-to-back night. Their backup goalie in this instant, Kevin Lankinen, making 30 beautiful saves, most of them. Preds win this one 3-2. Okay, maybe you have something here, but I have to see more, Preds. You've put yourself behind such an 8-ball 38 games into the season. Now you need to actually string more together to make up for your pitfalls through the first half of the season. Yes, I know you've won 3 games in a row. Yes, I know you've won 4 out of your last 5 games. Yes, I know you've gotten points in your last 5 games, but you've lost out on points you should have earned. Lost out in points in competitive games against teams higher than you in the standings, that now on a road trip like this with subpar teams still to go in Ottawa and Montreal, you need to win both of those games to make me a believer and maybe instill more confidence in yourself. And maybe if you're lucky, something that hasn't been seen by this team in a while on a road trip, they've had long winning streaks before, is to actually get, no matter if they go into overtime or not, whatever shootout in Toronto, maybe you should work hard your butt off because you've already won back-to-back games today and yesterday, that you can win back-to-back in Toronto, Montreal. Get all 5 games in the win column. You're within striking distance of the 2 wild card teams. Yes, Calgary won tonight, but there is Idle Oilers. And even with Calgary winning, you have games in hand on both teams. You can easily climb back into a wild card spot by winning in Ottawa after having the weekend off in Canada's capital city, facing Ottawa on Monday before having to finish it off with Toronto and Montreal. This is very doable. You're doing the right things. Yes, you didn't score on the power play tonight, but you have been clicking in this stretch almost every single game. And I am very impressed that not only did you keep Ovechkin completely off the score sheet in this game, you kept the Caps completely shut out on the power play. So that's it for this video. Thank you very much for watching. As always, click like if you like this video. Click subscribe if you really like it. You can find my social media by clicking on a channel name. Tell all your friends about Redemption. And hopefully by scoring his first goal of the season, 38 games into the season, finally breaks the dam for one Ryan McDonagh, and he is able to do more often what he was traded to do for this team.